What's up, War Report family? It's your guy, Ike Jones. We are live from SEC Media Days, Day 2. And we are in here. We heard a little bit ago from the coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. Now we're going to get a Georgia Bulldog great joining us today from Media Road, DJ Shockley. DJ, appreciate you checking this out, man.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's a cool time, and we know college football right around the corner, especially when you got media days here, so it's cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to start it out just the environment of the SEC today, right? Like Texas and Oklahoma, we're here in Dallas. It's different. It's a different energy around the conference right now. What do you see as the noticeable differences just kind of you've covered SEC Media Days before. What's the difference in this season?
I think the biggest thing is when you add Texas and Oklahoma, you add two teams that you know have a rich pedigree in winning.
Right.
You know the fan base is huge, and you understand when you add these two to an already tough SEC, it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
And I think the number one thing that everybody talks about is you think about a schedule for everybody.
Right.
And then you think about, okay, when do you play Texas? When do you play Oklahoma? And then for them, it's like, okay, every week is going to be tough. Every week going into a different environment, it's going to be a little bit crazier. So I love the fact that now the parity is a little bit smaller because you got so many good teams.
Yeah.
And then you add those two teams, it just makes the league that much stronger.
Okay, so you talked about the schedule. Let's talk about the schedule for your Georgia Bulldogs this season, because
ain't easy.
Yeah. They started out with Clemson.
Yeah.
They go on the road to Tuscaloosa this year. They got to go play Kentucky on the road. I can just rattle it off on the road against
Texas. Got to go on the road to Ole Miss.
Tough environments. Talk about the schedule for Georgia, and what do you feel like they need to do to really bring a team that I think some people, I don't know. It's weird for me to say this. I think people are sleeping on Georgia a little bit. They're not sure about the defense as much this season.
Yeah.
But what do you think they need to do?
The thing I'll say is go look back at the last 3-4 years of the way they recruited.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the mode of what Nick Saban did for however many years he was at Alabama was. He kept building that roster, kept building that depth. So in my saying of that is when you build a roster like that, you're ready to play in environments and play against teams like that week in and week out.
Yeah.
Because as we know, through a long season, you're going to lose guys, but you got another 4 or 5-star guy rolling in there.
Right.
And the culture and the way that Kirby has kind of made his program, this is a team, this is a program that is ready for these type of games.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I know the way I know Kirby and, the way I've been around his program, he tells them from day one when he's recruiting them, you come to Georgia to play against Alabama, to play against Texas, to go on the road versus Ole Miss. You play in games like this to open the season versus Clemson. We don't want to open it versus whoever. We want to see who we are from day one. So I think this schedule meets exactly what Kirby Smart talks about when he's recruiting these kids to come to the University of Georgia. This is why you came here to play in these big games.
Right.
So we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to be ready for it. We're going to be excited for it. And it's going to be something that I think is going to be must-watch TV because everybody wants to see these games, and you want to see the best versus the best.
For sure.
And that's what everybody wants to do when they turn their TV on is every week, I want to see the best matchups with the best players and see who wins.
All right, so speaking of prepared for the moment, this is Carson Beck's moment this season, right? Like last year came in, again, he was a guy, people didn't know what to expect.
True.
You really only saw him in backup duty. He rose to the occasion last year.
True.
I think he's coming in this year with a lot of Heisman hopeful hypes around him. Talk about Carson Beck for a minute and what he's going to bring in now his second season as a starting quarterback.
It's a great question because I've had the unique ability to be able to watch Carson when he first got to Georgia, when he was the backup, to the year he thought he was going to be the starter when Stetson Bennett ended up winning it, and watching his development and talking to him literally on the sideline about things that's going on in the game and how him wanting to be there. And then last year getting his opportunity and kind of feeling out his way through the season, and then getting to maybe about the Auburn game and having to realize, okay, I got to make some plays.
Right.
I gotta give my team a chance to go win a ball game. I think that was kind of the growing moment for him. Is on the road, you're down, you had a couple turnovers in the game. That place is raucous as it can be in all the country, and you find a way to go get a win and come back late and do it. And I think coming to this year, the thing for him is managing all the expectations, like you mentioned, of a Heisman hopeful, of going back to another national championship. And I know the number one thing he wants to do is be a part of a national championship team where he's the guy.
Right.
And that's one thing that I've actually talked to him about is I've been there. It's cool to be on the team,
Right.
but when you don't feel like you really contributed, it don't feel the same.
Right.
So I think he wants to have that kind of feeling of, I was a part of the team that actually went out and did it and played and had a huge contribution to it. So I think him becoming more of a vocal leader this year is going to be a big thing for him, not just on the field, but off the field as well, getting guys ready, getting them acclimated. And I think he'd be ready for that moment.
Okay. Now, you talked about it already. We were going to pivot here in a second. That Auburn game last year, that was kind of a wake-up call for that team.
For sure.
Kirby Smart said it himself in his address. It's one of the toughest places to play. Now, you don't have to go to Auburn this year. Auburn's got to come to your house. But as a guy who's played in that environment, that's been in those moments, what is it like to step on that field in Jordan?
It's crazy, man. I'll be honest. I tell a lot of people, going to LSU, going to Auburn are two of the places that's kind of, if you're not ready for it, it can be very intimidating. Fans are loud, they're raucous. I mean, even before you get to the stadium, they're rocking it. I mean, it's a crazy environment to be in, but it's also one of those places you love, you enjoy, because it's true fans. They're going to be loud, and regardless if whatever the records are of each team, Jordan Hare's going to be jumping.
Right.
They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be cheering their team on, and it makes it for an exciting game. It's, Deep South oldest rivalry. So you look forward to that game every single year, because you think about it, there's so many guys on that Auburn team that were recruited by Georgia.
Right, from the state of Georgia.
From the state of Georgia, probably could have went to Georgia and vice versa. So the proximity of both schools is crazy. So it's fun to have that ball game, but it's also fun to be a part of it and be in it, because it's loud, it's raucous, and it's a good place to be.
Yeah. Now, we haven't heard from Coach Hugh Freeze yet this week, but what are your, stepping for us to step outside the Auburn bubble into some other headspaces? What are the expectations that you're feeling from this Auburn team this year? Payton Thorne coming back, his second season as the starting quarterback, got that crop of wide receivers coming in that are going to be able to help him be a little bit better.
Yeah.
What are the expectations you're feeling around the conference for what Auburn can be this season?
The number one thing you think about is Auburn's always had really good defense. They always had really great players on that side of the ball, and that's part of the game that always keeps them in it. Over the last couple of years, it's been trying to find that identity at quarterback, trying to find the playmakers around that guy and trying to figure it out. I mean, you had, a couple of different scenarios where you played a couple guys here and there trying to figure out who can be the guy or who can give you a spark. But I think, like you mentioned, Payton Thorne is a guy who's been around. He's actually played pretty well in that Georgia game. Had some instances where he made some plays with his legs. A big run down the sideline was big. But just playing in those games, people don't understand, being in those environments, playing in those tough situations builds the character, builds the confidence that you need. And I think going into that second year where he's been there, done it, but then now he's like, okay, I ain't got to do everything myself. I got other guys around me that can help me. And he's going to have receivers, which we saw. I've seen some clips of them from spring games and practices that, hey, you got some dudes that can take the top off the defense and can make plays for you and throw in your way. So it's going to be exciting to see how it all gels together. But the thing is, how quickly can they get that done, especially with the schedule that you have in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Auburn's always going to have a tough schedule. It's going to be a tough time going down there at Sanford Stadium this season. But we'll see how it goes.
Come on down there to the Hedges, man. I enjoy that.
I'm going to try to make my way down there. I was down there a couple of years ago when y'all spanked Auburn, so we'll see if we can get some get back this time.
Cool.
Anyway, man, I appreciate you taking a little time. We're going to get out of here live from SEC Media Days. Our guy DJ Shockley stopping by. If you want more content like this, make sure you hit like and subscribe to the channel. We are The War Report. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle. Peace.